I'm here with Mike at Gear Moto in Spring Park, Minnesota, near Minnetonka. And he's the owner of this wonderful shop. And Mike, do you want to do a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mike Olson. I own Gear Moto, which is where we're filming this right now. The store has been in existence for, well, I've been in this location now since, is it May? And I was in Mound, just west of here, for a year in a much smaller space. And when I was in that space, I was really focused on really track riding, specifically racing. And I found that there was a niche and there's a sort of a missing need of having gear that we could try on, because my background, what got me into this was my passion for riding on the track and racing. So nobody had gear we could try on.
Yeah, your store is definitely a really neat store to have in Minnesota. You know, before I knew about your store, it was basically just cycle gear. And one of the pieces of gear that you helped get me set up with and my husband set up with are the Tech Air airbag vests Alpine Stars sells.
Yeah. There's a lot of different airbags on the market. I started out personally before I was doing any of this. When I was commuting to work and back, I would have about an hour ride each way to work and back. I bought a Helite airbag jacket. It was built into it and it tethered to my bike. And you know, it just seemed to make sense from a protection standpoint. I didn't really dig into it too much at the time. It just, I watched all the different videos that I could find on the airbag technology at the time. And I never had that deploy, luckily. So I've never, knock on wood, had a street accident. But then when I started riding on the track, I bought an RST suit. And I had to get it out of Europe. It was before they were selling them in the United States. It was one of their 4.1 kangaroo suits that had an airbag built into it. And that had an in-motion airbag in it. And I know it helped my crash twice and it deployed twice. Then I switched from that after doing more research, because with that one I hurt my shoulders. It didn't protect the shoulders. So I started doing more research, and that's when I personally got a Tech Air 5 from Alpine Stars, because it covered the shoulders. That was kind of my main concern. I had that airbag save me from a really bad crash, but that was prior to my ability to sell them. So I'm a huge believer because of my experience with them. And I can get into the crash and stuff here in a bit, but really the main reason that airbags do such a good job is because of the force transfer. The force transfer mitigation, I should say. If you look at most street accidents, most street crashes, the reason that they can have such a bad outcome is because typically it's hitting something. If you're lucky enough where you just slide, the road rash is really bad and it's no joke, and you want to protect yourself from that. But hitting stuff is really where the major trauma comes from. So having something that can mitigate that, it's really what can protect riders the most. And that's why I'm such a huge proponent. And that's why we're doing this video today. I really wish more riders would be wearing them. We sell a lot of airbags here. And, I'm hoping that more and more people start wearing them. The main takeaway from this, I could get into all the minutia of all the differences between all the different brands. If I had just one thing to say, it'd be just wear an airbag from any brand. Get one. If you're on the street, get one. And then from there, we can get into the details of the differences of all the different ones. Well, and I've got photos of my crash. That's one of the things that I can do here at the store, is I show people the photos that I had at the track. One of my crashes, I was going 100 miles an hour, coming out of a corner, accelerating, my front wheel locked up. It launched me over the handlebars. And I went through it frame by frame, and I saw that my airbag deployed before I was over the handlebars. I landed directly on my shoulder, and then I got hit by two bikes. And I walked away with no injuries. Wow. And I know it's because of the airbag. And you get into force, like the actual numbers of force mitigation that an airbag has, it's significantly different than even a really good back protector. And it covers, with the right airbag, it'll cover the ribs and shoulders and all that. And So I became a huge believer. So I think how we get more of these airbags on people, it's just going to take some time. And I think anybody that has an airbag, show them off to your friends. Get out there, talk about it, do posts. I think social media posts, if it ever does deploy, get out there and talk about it. I think when people see real world examples of how they can save people, I think is when it's going to be becoming more and more of the norm to wear one. I know when I first started wearing an airbag, it was one that tethered to my bike, and I can't remember the exact price on it, but it was, $600-700, I think, for that one, which is pretty crude technology if you think about it. It's basically tethered to your bike. If you get ejected off the bike, it pulls the cord and punctures the CO2 cartridge, and then basically a tube that just goes over kind of your torso down your back expands. Now, with the latest technology airbags, I mean, you're talking anywhere from $780-ish to $1,100 for the latest, greatest, highest tech airbags. And I do see, I envision over time that the price, will go down, or the features get better and better for the same price point. The more people buy them, more people use them, it's like anything, the price will go down. So it's another good reason for more people wearing them. But the technology is really changing fast. I'm really excited to see where this is all going. In 5 years, I have no idea what it's going to look like, especially with gear technology, how thin the pads are getting, how much airflow stuff is starting to have, and some of the materials, like in the gear, they have a ride-knit material it feels like a sweater, but it's puncture and abrasion resistant.
Yeah. I know, like when I was wearing my airbag, I have a Tech Air 5, and it was hot this summer. I wore it with one of the textile ventilated Alpine Stars women's jackets. It's armored, and it was very comfortable.
Yeah.
So when people talk about, oh, gear's too hot, it's too hot to wear a gear, it's summertime, I just don't think that that's a good argument anymore.
Yeah, it's, it does restrict some airflow. And, on the track, when you're putting on a leather race suit, it's hot to begin with. And then you put on, a piece of rubber in between that. It does restrict some airflow, but once you get moving is where I notice it just kind of disappears. When you're sitting around on a hot day, yeah, an airbag is going to get warm, even if you have a mesh jacket on. But once you get moving on the bike, the gear's designed all to flow air, and it's designed, I feel like I'm jumping ahead here, but like the Tech 7 now definitely has a little more airflow than the Tech 5, but there's also some compromise with not quite as much coverage. So, like I said, they all kind of have pros and cons. But yeah, that's a complaint that I hear, and it's usually prior to somebody having one. It's that it's going to be too hot. It's going to be too hot. Everything's hot that I wear. So it adds a little bit to that, but not much. On the really extreme days, yeah, you're going to feel it more.
But you also are riding with more protection, so that's
right. That's the
you have
trade-off.
that peace of mind. Yeah.
Yeah, if you do go down, that stuff disappears really fast.
Yeah. I had made a post on Instagram to see if anybody had questions for you. Yeah. Do you want to go over those real quick?
Yeah, let's tackle those.
All right. Outbackistan says, if I yeet myself 6 times in one day, will it hold up to that?
Oh, I think we've got other issues if you go down 6 times in a day out riding. Well, I suppose if you have 6 bikes and the airbag is the only thing that's going to be the variable that's going to... no, the airbags, and I think in a little bit here we can go over the differences between at least for Alpine Stars, the 5, 7, 10. So I guess in theory, if you were to have one of the ones that tethered to a bike, and you can put a new cartridge in it, and it didn't do any damage to the garment or the airbag. I don't know the specifics on each manufacturer and how many crashes. Like for instance, on the Tech Air 7, you can have 2 crashes, and then you can put cartridges in. So this is a cartridge kit that they can get for the Tech Air 7 that you can replace the cartridges. So you get 2 crashes, put the cartridges in, you get 2 more, and then you have to send it in. And then they replace the airbag bladder after that. So in that case, you'd get 4, if you replace your cartridges. So On the Tech 5, you do have to send it in every single time. In my experience, at least on the track when I've gone down, I've never gone down in an easy enough crash that I could get back on a bike and go. Bike's gone and I'm loading the trailer up. So it hasn't been an issue for me personally. And they have a pretty fast turnaround time with getting them back. But yeah, 6 crashes, I think we need to get you out to lessons if that's your concern.
Let's see here. Thread Cookie said, how do you best layer them with other gear?
Oh, that's a good question. So let's just stick with the Tech 5. A Tech 5 vest, should I grab one? I'll grab one here. So this is the Tech 5 that we have. One of the things I like about this one is it has full coverage all the way around the rib cage, all the way around the torso, over the shoulders, and then it has a CE level 2 back protector in the back. So with this, it depends on weather, but on a hot day, I would wear a moisture wicking shirt under this, and then this just goes underneath your motorcycle jacket. So you put this on, and then you just put your jacket over it. If you're getting into a colder day, you can, like I'm wearing now, put a hoodie on underneath it. So what Alpine Stars says with this is you need 4 centimeters of room around the jacket that's going over it to allow for deployment. If you're buying an Alpine Stars jacket to go with it and it says Tech Air Ready, they're designed to be able to stretch with the airbag as it goes off. So you just don't want a jacket that's really tight to begin with. That doesn't have stretch panels. It's not designed for an airbag. Really tight over an airbag. You want your jacket to fit comfortably over it. And I've heard one of the trainers at one time said basically if you can wear a hoodie underneath your jacket and it's comfortable, you probably have enough space for this. But officially it's 4 centimeters all the way around your torso to have that expansion room.
Yeah, that was one thing that I wish that I had planned for when I was buying my gear, because as a new rider, I'm just kind of buying gear for looks and not as much as for protection. Just starting off. And so one of my leather jackets is pretty form-fitting and it's not airbag ready. So it doesn't fit with the Tech Air 5, but it has that built-in back protector, which is nice. So in my other leather jacket, I can take out the back protector and it fits. So
yeah, an option there, I don't sell them, but Helite makes one that goes over the top. If you're going for the look though, it might not be the sexiest thing having the airbag thing going over. You'd be better off with any airbag. I'm sort of partial.
Yeah, it's just something that to kind of plan for if you think you might be, interested in getting an airbag in the future, to just be cognizant of that when you're buying new gear, that, maybe this won't fit an airbag in the future, something like that.
It's a great point. When people come in here, I always have that when they're looking for a jacket or a race suit, I always have that in mind. And even if they're not ready to buy an airbag, I let them know, eventually put that really high on your list of things to get in the future, and let's fit you for something that you could, that would fit an airbag with it. And I also get a lot of people that bring their jackets in or their suits in and try on an airbag with their current jacket or suit too. So
that's good.
It's not a surprise when you get home or order it online and get it and it doesn't fit. So yeah, it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. Gear Moto says, is it reusable? If so, how many times can you use it? So I think we kind of already touched on this.
Yeah.
It really depends on the brand.
It does. It depends on the brand. So for Alpine Stars, at least, and I'm going to keep going to Alpine Stars, I really like these airbags because they do cover the shoulder. So they make a Tech Air 3 that I don't carry. That they actually make a vest that looks like a biker vest, like a leather biker vest, and they make one that looks like a Carhartt kind of vest. But those don't cover the shoulders. So I start with the Tech 5. The Tech 5 has to be sent in after every crash, after every deployment, and you get 3 of those. It took me about 5 business days to get mine back. I've heard it taking up to about 2 weeks, depending on their workload. So how it works specifically is you send it in, or you contact Alpine Stars. They give you an RA number, instructions, and you send it in. It's $175, and then they clean it, they repack it, and they fill the argon. And there's another thing. Alpine Stars uses argon, which is more of a pyrotechnic than just an expanding gas, and they've got so much more volume to fill up than most airbags that they need something that's going to fill up really fast, and they fill up in 40 milliseconds. Like it's extremely fast how fast it'll deploy and fill up. So with that, you send it in 3 times, and then you have to replace the airbag after the 3rd one. With the Tech 7, we already went over that, and then the Tech Air 10. It's like the Tech Air 5, where you have to send it in each time.
Rachel Vance asked, if it deploys, can you use it again, or is it a one-time use?
Yeah,
And we already
covered that,
covered that one. Zuki973 asked, how much do the refills cost, and is it worth it?
Okay, so the Tech 5 is 175. I think the Tech 10 is a little more than that. I think it's right around the 200 mark. I could be wrong. I haven't sent a Tech 10 in myself. And then the cartridge kit fill up for the Tech Air 7 is 200. When I started off by having that RST suit. When I crashed on that, a single cartridge for that was $100. It was I think it was like 89 or 99. I don't know what they are now, but it was a few years ago. And it was nice. I was able to put the cartridge in there and go again. So, so it kind of depends on which airbag, but it's relatively inexpensive compared to replacing an airbag.
Right, and also relatively inexpensive compared to the medical bills that you might have if you didn't have an airbag. So
yeah, people don't think about that, or ambulance ride. Even if insurance covers it, sometimes it's not going to cover all of it. And another thing too, especially here in Minnesota, we wait half the year to ride. And if you go down, you might not be able to ride the rest of the year. So you wait, you go down, you bruise a rib even. You're going to be out for a while. The most common break is a collarbone, especially on the track, but collarbone or ribs is what I hear the most. And these airbags definitely cover both of those.
I know when I went down, mine was a relatively low speed crash, but I bruised my hip bone on the right side. Are there any airbags that cover that far low?
Yeah, the Tech Air 10. So the Tech Air 10, that's the most track-focused one, I would say. So how it works is it's a bodysuit that you put on, and you can take the air bladder out of that bodysuit and install it. They have one suit you can install it into, which is called the Absolute suit. So you can take the bladder out and install it into the Absolute suit. It's a $4,000 suit.
I love that name.
So the Tech 10, how that works is it has hip coverage that goes down. Again, with the pros and cons, the trade-off is that it has shoulder coverage, but the way the airbag comes over the shoulder, it has a square that covers your chest, so the side of your ribs are exposed, compared to the Tech 5 does cover the side of the ribs. So again, you're gaining the hip coverage, but you're losing the side of the rib coverage. So it's one of the things that I like to kind of inform people on, like all the differences, like the nuanced differences in the different airbags. So kind of put it like this. So somebody that's going to be riding mainly street, doing some track days or racing even, Tech Air 5 is great. It's tried and true. It's been around. It has the most comprehensive coverage on the torso. The Tech Air 7, if you're racing and you go down and practice on Friday and you want to be on the track Saturday and Sunday and you're going to keep going, the Tech Air 7 works really well. Just make sure you have some cartridges, so if it goes off again, you can make sure that you still have coverage. The Tech 10, I'd like to see the Tech 10 on the same platform as the Tech 7, where you can put new cartridges in it because it's so race focused. But again, this technology is continually evolving and changing, so I hope to see that in the future. I'm sure there's going to be that Goldilocks airbag eventually that just does everything, and I think that's what they're striving for. But just even in the last few years, we're really lucky with the way this technology has advanced and how good it has gotten. Yeah.
Noah on 2 said, is integrated better than separate airbag / jacket?
So integrated would be something like the Dainese D-Air or the old Tech Air. So Alpine Stars, through their evolution, they used to, instead of the Tech Air 5 that can be worn alone and you can wear it, or it has to be worn under a protective jacket that's abrasion resistant.
Right.
Prior to that, they used to make a Tech Air Street and a Tech Air Race, and those would mount inside the jacket. So you were limited to that one garment. So the Tech Air Race would zip into a suit, and you'd plug in wires, and there would be lights on the arm, and it was. I mean, you could take it out of the suit to send it in. You didn't have to send in the whole suit. Now the Tech Air 7 has been designed to replace that, so you can have that same suit and take a Tech Air 7 and zip it into that garment and plug the wires in and have the lights actually work to a Tech Air 7. The new suits that Alpine Stars releases are going to have the ability to put a Tech Air 7 into them. They make a GPR 7 suit right now that you can actually install the Tech Air 7 directly into the suit. But then you can also wear it as a standalone under any jacket that it'll work with. So I'm a bit partial to the airbags that are standalone because you can wear it under any jacket.
Right.
You know, this airbag right here, this is one that I crashed in, and I wear this underneath. I've got a ride hoodie, so if I'm just riding around here, I'll put this under my ride hoodie, or I can put it under my race suit and wear that. You know, so it's a lot more versatile, and these have a street and a track algorithm. So, you know, different forces. The main difference is with the track algorithm, they call it the race algorithm, is that it doesn't engage till around 60 miles an hour. In the street algorithm, you put that on, you walk out to your bike, and if you're sitting out here and you get rear-ended, it's going to deploy. And there's another benefit without having a tether, is that if you're sitting on your bike and you're tethered to it, and you get rear-ended and you don't get ejected off the bike, or if you low side and the bike's still with you, it won't deploy until the bike actually is far enough away from you for it to pull that tether.
Or if you drop your bike in the parking lot like
Yeah,
I
if you drop your
did.
bike in the parking lot. Were you wearing your airbag when that
I
happened?
was.
And it didn't go off?
It didn't go off.
Yeah, I mean,
thankfully.
they're intelligent. I mean, they've got gyroscopes and accelerometers. It's like, you know, if you think of your cell phone knowing position in space. So they're pretty smart. Every time that one gets sent in, they download the data. They've got thousands and thousands of crashes worth of data to improve their algorithm. It's kind of cool too. You can update it from your phone. So, you know, just your phone can connect to the airbag via Bluetooth. You don't need your phone with you to use it, to use the airbag, but you can download a new software. So as they make improvements, you can continually update it.
Cool. Do you want to talk about a little bit like how they deploy?
Yeah, so the Tech Air 5 has, I think it's 3 gyroscopes, 3 accelerometers that know where your body is in space. And they can tell if there's an impact. Like I said, the street algorithm, it's designed to, it's a little more sensitive because the forces aren't so great like they are on a track. You know, the lean angles aren't nearly what they are on the track, you know, hopefully, depending on the rider, right? But so it can sense that. And, you know, the algorithm's pretty smart in understanding when something's not right, you know, and so it deploys it. In the Tech 7 and the Tech 10, they have extra sensors in the shoulders. So it has a more accurate picture of body position. I don't have any complaints with the 5 since it saved my butt, you know, but they have the extra sensors in the shoulders in both the 10 and the 7X. So yeah, it just adds that extra layer of intelligence to the system to know when to deploy.
And I don't think we've covered this already, but I know there's like different gases that's used, and you said that argon is used with the Alpine Stars.
Yep.
What do you know much about the other gases that are used in airbags?
I think, unless there's a different gas, but I think it's either CO2 or argon that's used. And I think I've heard that the new Dainese does use argon. I guess I need to research that one a little more, but I know for a fact that the Alpine Stars uses argon because it does deploy a lot faster.
Faster than CO2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
It's part of my training. They taught us that.
How long did your training last?
So I've had a Tech 5 training, a Tech 7X training, a Tech Air off-road training, and a Tech Air 10 training, all through Alpine Stars.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, it's a Zoom call that you sit on. I think it lasts about an hour, and they, you know, a lot of it's overlapped, but they all, you know, that's one thing I didn't talk about is the Tech Air off-road.
Oh yeah.
They've been developing that. I think that was the development platform for the Tech Air 7X. And they were testing it. I know in the Dakar races the last few years, most of the riders on the bikes, I think like the top 50 riders, were all wearing the Tech Air race, or the Tech Air off-road airbags to really test, you know, going over the bumps and you know, that kind of stuff. I haven't had any of the Tech Air off-roads in here, but with those you can also replace the cartridges, so it works a lot like the Tech Air 7X. Okay. Where you get 2 crashes, then you can put the canisters in there and get 2 more. So yeah, I've had quite a bit of training. I've read a lot about it too. And one of the big things with the airbags, not to get too into geek mode here, but if you look at CE level testing, and I know there's a couple different tests. I think in France they have a different testing system, but the CE rating tests for airbags are different than they are for back protectors. They change the standard, so you can look up the exact numbers, but just in kind of ballpark terms, if you look at a CE level 1 back protector, they hit it with 50 joules of force, and they measure the kilonewton transfer. If you translate into pounds, a CE level 1 back protector can't transfer any more than 4,000 pounds, give or take. A CE level 2 can't transfer any more than 2,000 pounds on a back protector, and each zone's different. You go to an airbag, the standards change. So a CE level 1 on an airbag can't transfer any more than about 1,000 pounds of force, and a CE level 2 can't transfer any more than 500 pounds of force. And then now you add a CE level 2 back protector, like on that Tech Air 5, you're talking 250 pounds of force. So its magnitude's different. I think they've got a graphic on the display that says it's like 18 CE level 1 back protectors stacked up or something like that. But it's significantly different. And that's when you start seeing that kind of data, you really realize that, when you're coming off of a bike and it's your body weight, or you're hitting something, it's gonna protect you much better than even the best back protectors can.
Can you talk about what it feels like when it deploys?
Yeah, I actually haven't noticed it when it actually deploys personally. So in my RST suit when I crashed, I didn't notice that I was wearing it till I landed. So I low-sided going into a corner in a race, and when I hit the grass I started tumbling, and I flipped up in the air and I landed on my back, and I remember thinking it felt like a bouncy house. And I was like, oh, the airbag's working. And I got up and my shoulder got hurt because I low-sided. But the last crash I had where I went over the handlebars, I didn't even think about it or notice it. And then I was walking away from the crash and I was checking myself like, oh, did that go off? And it's like, yeah, I could tell it had a little bit of air. It had deflated, but I could tell it wasn't like it was when I started. So I never felt it go off. I've seen videos where people have them deployed when they're just standing here, and it's pretty shocking. It's like, think of an airbag in a car going off. It's poof, they go off fast. So.
But when you're in like the middle of a crash, it's probably, all your other senses are going off. Yeah.
Well, I actually had a gentleman that was getting back into motorcycling after being out of it for years and years and years, and he was researching gear over the winter. This was last winter. And he was looking at all the different gear. He wanted to make sure he was protected. And he ended up buying a Tech Air 5 from me. And he came into the store, and I could tell he was a bit frustrated. He put the airbag up on my desk, and he said, "This thing's not working." I'm like, "Oh, okay. What happened?" Well, he got in a crash, and it was somebody, I guess, pulled out in front of him, and he hit the car, and he must have been in his 70s. And I asked him, did you get hurt at all? He's like, no, I didn't get hurt at all. I'm like, okay, that's good. Maybe it didn't need to go off, is my first thought. And I tried turning it on. I was going to look at it, and it wouldn't go on, so the battery was dead. So he took it home, and he messaged me saying that it's not taking a charge. Okay, just bring it in. I'm going to take a look at it. So what I did is I plugged it in here, and I hooked my phone up to it. And as soon as I did that, it said that it had been deployed. So he didn't even know it went off. Wow. Yeah, but it's probably what saved him from having any kind of injuries.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I didn't even know it went off.
He had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
I suppose you get so focused on other things, your adrenaline's going.
Right.
He's focused on this car, and there's a lot going through your mind after you go down. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
That's a cool story. Yeah. I think it can be really daunting when you're, a new. Maybe not new, but new to airbags, and there's so many different choices out there. I guess, what are the basic points that you want to make to those people that are new to airbags and are thinking about buying them?
Yeah, so do your research, do a little bit of research, find one that's best for your needs. A commuter might have a different need than a racer does. But but just get an airbag. That's the key. I think, you know, you want to make sure it's something that's been through a CE rating, that adds a little bit of objectivity to it. You're not just relying on somebody's word. You know, if it's just some company that made an airbag that can go off that you've never heard of and it's a really low price point, you make sure that they're CE rated. The airbag is not the back protector on it. You know, I see a lot of different garments that you know, try to trick people by saying, well, you know, CE rated protectors, you know.
Right.
Not that the CE rating is the end all for safety, but it is an objective measure that can give you a little bit of peace of mind.
Thank you so much, Mike. I
Yeah.
really appreciate the talk. And you can find Mike on Instagram.
Yeah, look for In Gear Moto on Instagram, Facebook, In Gear Moto, or Mike Olson. If you find In Gear Moto, you're going to find me through Facebook. The website, if you have questions on different CE ratings, if you look at my website, there's actually a menu item that I think it says CE ratings. You can read through the different things for gloves, boots, jackets. Like I said, the purpose here is to help keep riders safe. So I want to make sure that the info's out there too.
Well, thank you. You've been
Yeah.
an awesome resource, and we're so lucky to have you right here in
Thanks.
Minnesota. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.